And we are back. Um, so, Kyle Rittenhouse, I've done a lot of research and a lot of listening to this case. Sheesh, where do y'all want to go first? Where do y'all want to go first? You want to talk about the Ahmaud Arbery verdict or the Rittenhouse situation or the Rittenhouse verdict? Okay, let's do. I didn't hear anybody.
I
So
was gonna
let's.
say we could start with the negative first.
Don't you gotta go to work in 9 minutes?
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Okay, all right. Let's. Okay, let's start with the. Okay, all right. Let's start with the negative first. That's fine. Okay. I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know. Depending on how you look at it. Depending on how you look at it. Jeff, where you at?
Right
All
here.
right.
All right. So first off,
Wait. Okay. Wait.
uh,
Wait. Wait. Let me break it down. So Kyle Rittenhouse. There was a situation. August 25th, if I'm correct. It was August I think the date was August 25th, where a young 17-year-old shot three men, killed two, injured one. In a rally uh, in Kenosha. He was from Illinois, 20 miles away from Kenosha. Um, uh, he had a gun, he had a firearm, and things of that nature. He was on trial for that. This is important to note. Not that it matters in the lives of the people, but these men were not black people. They were at the rally for a Black Lives Matter rally, and subsequently, Rittenhouse was there because there was a rally taking place, and he wound up shooting three men. And we are going to fill in the blanks um, about the verdict. So he was is the word acquitted
it
correct?
is acquitted. Yeah.
He was found not guilty, if that's what acquitted means. He was found not guilty on all charges. And here we are today. We some of us are in an uproar, and some of us are ecstatic that this didn't go down the way that it could have gone down.
Uh,
Go ahead, Jeff.
okay. So I'd like to apologize because when we were talking about it in the group chat,
Oh, wait, wait,
hold on,
wait, wait, wait,
hold
wait,
on,
wait.
time out, time out.
Wait, 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 wait.
Let me finish
Wait,
what
wait,
I'm.
wait,
Let me
wait.
finish my thought. Let me
Wait,
finish my thought.
wait.
I'm gonna say this. I'd like to apologize for how it was perceived. What I'm saying is, in this case, it was a self-defense case. So whether or not he should have been here is not the argument that I was having. I was having the argument it was self-defense, it was a good call, and it could be used in other cases like this, like it has. Like the baby's case at Walmart was a self-defense case that he could have got charged for murder. There was a gentleman in Indiana who got the only charge he got charged with 6 charges. The only charge that stuck was a possession of a illegal firearm. Yes, Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 at the time of the shooting. Yes, it was an AR-15 like weapon because that's how the defense got the weapons charge thrown out before the trial started. So it wasn't a pistol. It was within a certain legal length of the weapon. That's why they threw the weapon charge out. And then it becomes a self-defense case. I watched enough video clips of people chasing him down and eyewitnesses accounts of the first person he shot having a gun and pulling him. Like when you see the clip, you see the guy grab Kyle and then he turns around and shoots. If you're listening to the clip, you hear gunshots before he shot. He was running away and then they grabbed him and he turned around and shot. Somebody else knocked him down with a skateboard, and then the third person that got shot was about 3 feet away from him shooting. They had a forensic expert go over the whole case and trajectories and stuff like that. He was in a defensive position from where he shot, and the people that got shot were in aggressive positions. So, however we may feel about it, it is a straight up self-defense case. That's my point.
I was saying, hold up, because I didn't want you to roll it out that way. I wanted you to. I wanted you to say what stance you were taking. Not just apologize first, just to say what side you on, because we never even said where everybody stood. So that's why I was saying hold it up as the daggone host of this show.
My bad.
And I vehemently disagree with you, but but go ahead.
But that's, I mean, okay, that's fine. But what I was saying is the way that this was all presented and the case that they built, right? The prosecution should have never. If that's how you feel that he murdered people, that's fine. Your job as a prosecutor is not to seed something that would get you your case thrown out. Essentially, this is what happened. And that's what I was saying.
Anybody want to go before I go?
I only got one question. Only one for Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you think these self-defense rules and everything that you're talking about would still apply if African American was the one out there defending themselves?
Yes, it happened. It happened the same day. So somebody else got acquitted.
All right. So you think at a Trump rally, if African American went there under the same thing, just going to protect their property and the whole nine, and a crazy, outrageous Trump supporter came over and was super aggressive and all of that, you honestly think they're getting off with self-defense?
Yes, if the video evidence all points to that, yes. I'm not making the stuff. I'm not making the standard up. That's what happened. The way that they presented it was a self-defense case. It's not. It's a whole other thing we can get into about him having. Should he have been there? No, he was 17. He should have been at home. But what I'm saying is the way that everything was presented, it was a self-defense case. That's why we have these gun laws.
T, you looking mighty pensive. Alana also. Are you on mute? You on mute?
I'm just waiting for you to go. No, I want you to go.
Yeah.
Was Tobias saying anything?
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, you say what you got to say, Keith.
Okay.
It's probably on what I got.
Well, what do you have to say?
I'm
said what I'm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I asked what I had to ask, and that's that.
Okay, so the only thing that I'll say is ultimately, if the argument that you were using, Jeff, is that against the three people that got shot, right? Is
Right.
that they're felons and that they shouldn't have been out there with illegal guns. You've acknowledged that he should not have been there. Okay, so then they both started all at the same starting point. At that point, according to your argument, they are on equal playing ground when it comes to being in a position where they could potentially deserve some sort of consequence for it, right? Because they were doing something they shouldn't do, and he was somewhere he shouldn't have been. So what I'm saying is I think my issue lies in the tone of your response.
Which is what I was apologizing for.
No. I understand that. But I'm saying there's a tone around the fact that you say it at all. Because I think sometimes it matters how we say things, and then sometimes saying that thing at all can never be taken well because the tone of the statement is completely off. So what I'm saying is these people are dead now. So for all intents and purposes, with your argument, they got what they deserved because they got a consequence. He is completely free, and you have acknowledged that he too was in a position where he was doing or being somewhere that he should not have been doing or been. And that is where I'm like, well, there's a contradiction happening here.
Well, it's not a contradiction. Oh, and this is why I don't believe it's a contradiction. I have raised a weapon in self-defense. Thank God I didn't have to use the weapon. But I have raised a weapon in self-defense. I've had weapons pointed at me several times. More times outside of the military than in. But his consequences are he has to live with the fact that he shot 3 people. He can't go back to work in the same area that he was at. He's going to have to deal with the fact that he caused the loss of life for 2 other people. Regardless of, like I said, regardless of who they were, They were attacking him at that moment. He was in the moment of self-defense. It was a reactionary thing, right? He's still going to have to live with the consequences of taking those lives.
So we're depending on his conscience to hold him accountable, though he was smiling and joyous as he rode out of the courthouse.
It manifests in different ways. He might not even notice how it's going to affect him later, but I promise you it will.
Okay, I believe that. But also, it could have affected him immediately because he could have been given an immediate consequence for doing something that he was supposed to do. And I think that that's where the discrepancy is in what we're saying.
Okay, but the laws are set up, and this is why it's a real contentious thing, right? The way that the weapons law and the self-defense laws were set up for that state, he was legally within his right to defend himself. And that's been my point from the beginning.
Didn't we look up the laws and didn't we see that it was 18 years of age for the?
The owner was 18. It was okay for that person who was next to him to give him the weapon because they were there. What I'm saying is, he can't own a pistol, and there's like a certain length for the rifle, right? If it exceeded a certain point, they would have been able to use the weapons charge. Because the prosecutor ceded that it was not within that length, they threw that charge out.
So what you're trying to tell me is the same idea that the court would hold, or the same notion the court would hold if a grown man took his 12-year-old son to an open field to teach him how to shoot, is the same way they look at another grown man deciding, this is my gun that I'm legally able to own because I meet all the criteria. You don't. But since it's mine, I can decide that you do, and that is, you're saying that's
how they looked at it. That's why the charge got thrown out. I'm not saying it's right.
Fair?
I'm not talking about fair. I'm talking about what happened.
I've never known of a law that allows you to do that. I thought it was even illegal technically when you do it with your 12-year-old son as a father and teaching him how to shoot. If he's not 18 years of age.
No, well, I mean that's different when you're at a range. That's why I wasn't arguing.
Any open field, which men do all the time, take their teenage son somewhere to shoot. But technically, that's illegal if you're letting him shoot it.
Listen, I wasn't in the courtroom. I just know that that's how they got the charge thrown out.
I'm saying that's where this loophole
But that's
exists.
what you agree with.
That loophole exists because it's illegal. You cannot just decide, I'm 18 and able to have a gun, so you can have a gun too. That's like me smoking a cigarette and then telling a 12-year-old, well, it's my cigarette. I bought it, so I'm telling you, you can smoke it.
Listen, I'm talking about in the moment of him defending himself. That's where it was all legal. I can't really speak to why the other people had weapons. Like, there's two people that definitely pointed a gun at him, and one dude was like, I didn't aim at him, I just shot in the air and I had my hands up. But when they showed a picture of him, he was pointing the weapon at Kyle Rittenhouse, which is when he got shot. Not before or not after.
Okay. Keith, what you got to say?
Our disconnect is, so just, background, everything Jeff Bonds is saying is, Jeffrey is a Marine. Jeffrey is a gun owner. I'm just now hearing about this. I never knew you owned a firearm.
I just got my license like a year and a half ago.
Okay. I've known you for 20 plus years, but okay. Jeffrey has brothers that are police officers. So naturally, I mean, I don't know if that's fair to say, but I think it's fair to say, Jeff views this differently. Our issue is that, and I don't know if I have to do the whole disclaimer thing. You know how I feel about you. You know that you're my brother. You know that you're my family. But our issue is with you and people that think like you, is that you're thinking as a gun owner and not as a human being. You know what I mean? Like just plainly put.
No, I'm thinking, and this is just, it might just be from my experience, right? But like, I've always believed in consequences for your actions, whether they be light or heavy, right? And I've learned that our consequences don't always come from the things that we think. So in the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, he might not have any legal repercussions for what happened, but he's definitely going to have to live with that for the rest of his life.
All right, that was my turn.
Okay, Skip.
Mm-hmm. So the judge was very vocal about how this was a tricky trial because he knew the ramifications that would take place because he already didn't like how this case looked from the standpoint of what a potential ruling like this one would do.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you talking about this is the law, this is the law, this is the law, this is the law. I don't care. You telling me about the law when laws are set in place and should be set in place to govern people and for people and to cause people to do the right thing. In this instance, this got a person that was clearly they shouldn't have been there and they shouldn't have been there doing what they were doing. They had other intentions outside of ones that they mentioned. So you are on record. You are on record saying, yo, because you seen with this firearm, 17 years old at the time, seen with this firearm, and they're asking you what you're doing out here. Oh, I'm here to help people. Help people do what? Oh, yeah, if somebody gets hurt, I'm going to pick them up, and I'm going to do... You ain't never say if somebody is looking suspicious or whatever it is, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
But they started chasing him, though.
You see that big ass gun? You think they gonna sit there and just be like, yo, they gonna definitely say something.
I just want to finish.
Okay.
So yeah. But to your point, they started chasing him because they heard about an active shooter at the daggone rally. Who could this active shooter be? Could it be the 17-year-old kid with the daggone assault rifle? I don't even know what that is. An AR what? What is it?
AR-15.
And that ain't meant to injure nobody. That ain't meant to like startle anybody. It's a weapon meant to kill. Period. So you ain't go out there to like to deter anybody. So that's number one. Also, what has failed. So you said this is what was said. Oh yeah, I went to go out there to defend my place of work or our family friends place of work, da 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 da. The owner of said business was on the stand and they asked him, did you ask Kyle Rittenhouse to go out there? He said no. He said no. Lives were lost, so that's not funny. But he said no. I did not tell him. I did not give him. But they was like, yo, he was 17. Da, da, da. He was like, yeah. So no, there was never a time where I said, yo, help me defend my business. So you out there and you got your gloves on, but you supposed to be an EMT. So you or I don't know if you're an EMT or not, but you were there to help people if they got injured, this, that, and the third. So no shots were fired, except for the ones that he shot. No one else was killed except for the people that he killed. So you talking about that there was this ruckus and all of this type of stuff. None of that was happening until he did anything.
I can literally. There's a video clip where you hear gunshots and he's running. He didn't shoot the first dude. It was a drone thing, right? You hear gunshots and he's running away. The dude grabbed him and then he shot in retaliation. So, damn. Whether or not I get what you're saying, but if I'm a grown man, I'm not chasing somebody with a rifle, and I'm not armed.
That's right? You. So you got these convicted felons, and people keep making mention of that as if they deserve to die more than anybody else because they were convicted of crimes that they served time for.
Hello.
So you got them. And they decide, hey man, I'm back in society. I don't. What other reason would they have given? What other reason did they give for chasing this kid just out of nowhere? Or did he give cause? Fam, I'm out here with this daggone rifle, and we've gotten notice. We've been told that there is an active shooter out here. What reason did they give? So maybe he's doing. Of course, it's self-defense because I'm the one doing the act. I don't want to get killed. Well, we don't want other people to get killed. So we're coming to stop you from doing what you might do, what you potentially are going to do, kid. You're 17 years old with a daggone assault rifle. You're out here. So yeah, you're talking to us about these laws. You're talking to us about these self-defense things, which wouldn't even have to have been enacted if he wasn't out there doing what he was doing to begin with.
Yeah, but
and then you keep telling me about this law. But he was X amount of feet away from this, that, and the third. Jeff, please tell me. Maybe I'm ignorant to this. Tell me when and where I can use anybody's gun if I'm not a licensed gun owner myself.
Listen, I don't know how they work in Wisconsin. All I know is they threw that charge out. That's all I've been saying.
And that's my point. And that's always been my point. You threw this joint out for what reason? They said he was They said he was close enough to where he could have. Fam, it's not my gun. It's not my parents' gun. I'm 18. So there was an 18-year-old that gave a 17-year-old a gun, and because he was standing close to him. No, well, the moment I run away, I'm not standing close to you anymore. So what is the point? I'm not with you anymore. I'm out and about, and I'm patrolling like I'm some daggone police.
Apparently, they were still close to each other. Look,
they were still close. They was running side by side, Jeff.
They were. He was
Where
with
he
his
was
friend.
at?
Okay, you're arguing with me about this.
I am arguing with you about
that. I know, but what I'm saying is, from what I got of the testimony, they were close enough when he got attacked with the skateboard and fell over, because that was the second one.
Was he okay? Because the guy with the skateboard.
What is this, Donkey Kong?
From the beginning of the situation happening, I remember the guy with the skateboard being presented as somebody who was trying to unarm him because they saw Kyle as a threat. When you say attack, which for the pure definition of the word, I could see. But when you say attack in this context, it sounds like the guy with the skateboard was just randomly picking Kyle to hurt. When that is not how it was even presented when it was first presented to the public.
That's because when it was presented to the public, he was also a white supremacist. But when they did the...
did that change?
Yeah, he wasn't. He gave his phone up to the FBI. They found no cause, no evidence. And I promise you...
The KKK been around for centuries before.
I promise you, the way that this case was presented, if it would have popped up during their investigation, it would have been used. And then it would have gave them cause to say that he was an active shooter, and it would have threw out the self-defense charge, is what I'm saying.
You said you wasn't in the courtroom. The
way that cause works, you know what? I'm not getting caught up in. But I promise you, the way that the case was worked out, right? Because the whole thing started with them going, he was a white supremacist. He was here to cause a problem. If he did, in fact, go to all the meetings and stuff, or like when they first talked about it, because he gave up his phone, he gave up a whole bunch of other stuff. I've done investigations like that for background checks. It would have come up. It didn't, so they couldn't use that as the prosecution to give them like cause for him to be there to cause all types of stuff. It would have been used in order to convict him, is what I'm saying, because that's how court cases work. Oh, I got this thing. Let me go use it to make sure that I present my best case so that I win this one. I can't hear you, T. I can't hear you, T.
Hello?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This entire time, I'm not finna say nothing important. Whatever that is behind you, I thought you was wearing a hoop earring this whole time. I was like, Jeff defending his thing with hoop earrings, like big ones.
No, but this is all I'm saying. Had it been, I honestly feel, and this is maybe it's just me being ignorant or not understanding fully, right? But I feel like if that was an option for them to use as the truth, they would have used it.
I don't think they would have, though. because of like here in Georgia, the KKK can like legally march around the mountain and just be, but then uh like
But
as soon as Black Lives Matter stuff started happening, they act like we were like a terrorist group. So I don't know. It just sometimes seems like there's a disconnect in certain areas.
and that might be, and it could be all by region. This is what I'm saying. Like I don't know. It's a different thing for us. Like for me and Keith who live in New Jersey, like those laws, the gun laws and stuff, they're way stricter over here than they were over there.
Sure. My my point is my point is we started this conversation and we're gonna end it here. But we started this conversation about uh on our group chat. We were talking about Ahmaud Arbery, and we were saying like, oh man, they found all three of those guys guilty. And Jeff said that well, they were super guilty. Jeff said that they were super guilty, and we were saying, well, there was one case where we thought that some guy was super guilty and he wasn't, and so that's what sparked that conversation. Um, but but that's the whole thing. That's the whole issue is that somebody gets off due to some sort of loophole or whatever it might be. No matter what you want to call it, that is a daggone loophole. And some things where we think that something is open and shut isn't. And so, thank you, Jeff, for your the other side of the coin. You know what I mean, how you feel is how you feel, and we appreciate you standing up here and saying how you feel and not being a bash shit and all of that. But there was one situation that we just saw and that we can rejoice because things like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation happens where someone who has whatever intent gets off. And in this case, it was not the case. And in this case, we are excited about that. I don't know the three gentlemen's names. I'm sure Alana and Tobias and Jeff are more well versed in this case than me. But I do just want to shed some light on it and just say that we are extremely excited about it. His mother is super excited about it, as excited as she can be about something like this. She said that she never lost faith, she never lost hope. She knew that she would get here. And remember, this was a case that wasn't even supposed to see the light of day. Remember, this was a case that not even a case at all. They swept it under the rug. It wasn't even presented to the sheriff's office and things of that nature. So we are excited, and I wish jail on no man, but like Devin and Alana say, and Jeff says, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I think that's what they be saying.
Yeah.
And so she said that's right. So the Ahmaud Arbery verdict, I just want to give y'all a chance to speak on that real quick.
I'm happy the verdict is what the verdict is. I feel kind of I, I, I'm happy it is what it is, and it's what it's supposed to be. A part of me almost feels like kind of numb though, if that makes any sense, because I think of like not to be stuck in the past, but I think of all the other cases that the verdicts wasn't what they should have been, or I even think like would we even be here right now? And I know right now we could obviously be like, this is obviously what the verdict should be. But there's this part of my brain that's kind of like, would we even be here if the riots hadn't happened?
Mm.
And so then,
Let's say no.
Yeah.
Let's say no.
And so then it's almost like a part of me almost feels like, yeah, let's give them that one. And so then I'm kind of like, thanks. Okay. I still don't. I still feel like there's a lot of things that still need to change, but I'm glad that mom's getting justice and that family's getting justice. So yeah.
Alana, you muted yourself.
think speaks to the nature of which not to stay here, but quickly stepping right back into the Rittenhouse situation is just that I think that and I'll say offended because I mean that word. I think what offends me as a black person is not necessarily the logistics of the situation, but it is that he got off because there's so many stories, countless stories where we have been in situations of self-defense, and though you showed us one where a black man did receive justice or was considered self-defense and didn't go to jail, there are 60 million more for that one where we didn't. And so I think I can relate to what T said, where he's like, it feels numb because there's also all these other people that we think about that have been killed for no reason at all other than the fact that they're black and nothing's been done. But I also think on the other side of that, the fact that this story wasn't getting any attention, it wasn't one that was loud in the media when it happened. I think that its growth and then the justice landing after that unexpected growth makes it an even sweeter victory. Because it's still victory, even if there's a long way to go. And unfortunately, there just still is because, it's just not as easy for us as it is for a Kyle Rittenhouse to just assume that we get justice in any situation.
I get what you guys are saying. You're saying you guys are lamenting the fact that us as black people had to sit on the edge of our seat to see if justice would be served. You know what I mean? The whole time. You know what I mean? And like, it wasn't just like this thing of like, oh yeah, they killed this kid, open shut case. Let's just, you know what I mean? All right, cool. We don't have to pay attention to this because justice will be served. It's the sheer fact that we, like Tobias said, like we had the rally, we had the march, we had to pay close attention to this. We had to put the post up, we had to put the Black Lives Matter stuff. We had to do a blackout, Instagram day or whatever you call it, for things to be shed light on, and things just aren't like the status quo. Isn't just that justice would be served if nobody was looking. Like if a tree falls down in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it still make noise? It's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So, glad the verdict was the way that it was.
Absolutely.
Jeff agrees, and
I do. I'm also hopeful. Like I totally understand where you guys are coming from, and I know I don't look it, but my dad's black, my mom's Puerto Rican, so I always make the joke that I'm racially non-threatening. But there's truth to it, right? Because when people come up to me, they really don't know how to take me at first. Like I'm not Caucasian, but I don't necessarily look black. Yeah. So my experience is no, but I'm hold on, because I have a point in all this. Like my experience is way different from everybody else's, right? I'm hopeful that a situation like this, where justice was served properly, like I'm thinking that we're turning a corner where it's going to happen more often, where I don't have to just try and find one or two examples of justice being served properly. That's where I'm at.
Right. Okay. And where we are is nobody should have to die because they look racially threatening.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
exactly.
I made the joke, but
exactly.
I'm being dead serious. Like I know it's a whole different ride, but like, because I'm uncomfortable with how comfortable people are saying things around me at work from other races, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not how that works. Mm-hmm. But it is. I feel like culturally we're turning a point where it's starting that I feel like it's going to start to even out sooner rather than later.
It won't. It won't unless we continue to fight. Because again, the status. This country is not set up for us. It's not built for us. The laws were not created for us. So the loopholes that certain individuals get, we do not get. I would take a quick break right here, but it's time to go. I do want to bring up King Richard.